This little pouch was a pain in the ass to make, so obviously gonna show you how. Just make yours a little bigger because I've learned sewing small things is not fun. So we're gonna cut 2 rectangles of the outer fabric, lining, and batting. Sandwich the outer layers right sides together in between the 2 batting pieces and sew down the sides around the bottom. Do the same thing with the lining, but leave a hole in the bottom edge and then trim the excess seam allowance. Throughout the whole project, I'm using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, so I hand basted the lace trim 1/4 of an inch down from the top edge on the right side of the outer layer so that when I sewed it to the lining, the trim would catch in the seam. Once that was done, I flipped the outer layer back inside out and placed the lining right side out inside so that the good sides are facing. For the pouch, I wanted a button loop closure, so for the loop, I just used an elastic cord, cut a piece, folded it into a loop, and placed it in between the 2 layers in the middle of one side, then sewed around the top edge, leaving a gap in the middle of the opposite side of the loop, just because the button that I'm using has this little bit in the back to attach and wanted to be able to slot it in the seam to sew from the inside to the seam allowance, if that made sense. After I worked the button in and got that all sewed and secured, flipped the pouch right side out through the gap in the lining and then closed up that hole. Last step, I top stitched around the top edge, which I was not a fan of doing because the pouch was entirely too small, but it had to be done or else the lace was sticking up. Will I make one of these lace trim pouches again? Yes, I actually think it turned out really cute. Will I make one this size again? Absolutely not.